She is a lioness per courage. She is soft yet stern, loving yet a warrior, compassionate yet powerful, kind yet full of valor, and fierce yet tender. Being the first woman IPS officer of India, she progressed exponentially as a super cop on the national scene to eradicate crime, traffic violations, drug abuse, and lack of integrity. She brought about reforms in Tihar jail, steered the lives of prisoners toward a better good. To add to her professional hat, she as well served as the Lieutenant Governor of Pondicherry. Her achievements are plethora, yet her soul is rooted in the earth. Her tenacity, wisdom blended with staunch courage, and her brave heart have impressed a timestamp unto eternity upon every Indian citizen and every denizen of the world for her selfless service, laser sharp acumen, and her intrepid disposition all her life. Words fall short to describe her magnanimity in every regard of life. As this is our Indian Independence Day special episode and an onset of season 4 of Star Darbar, who else can be apt to come as our prime guest with pride in our heart and a feeling of honor for a real hero? We cordially welcome the super cop, social activist, author, humanitarian, and a lady who redefined the definition of courage to the entire world. Dr. Kiran Bedi to tonight's episode of Star Darbar. We salute you, Kiranji.
Namaskar and namaste, and welcome to your favorite show, Star Darbar. I am really excited because, yes, this is season 4 and such a great start in a fantastic week. Yes, we are celebrating India's Independence Day. And who else is there to start our episode with us? The super cop, the fantastic human being. And she is right now with us, the first ever woman IPS officer of India. Kiran Bedi ji is right here with us to grace this occasion. Namaste and welcome to Star Darbar, Kiran ji.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this invitation, Raagiini, and thank you for this opportunity, both you and Sharad. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in and joining us because this is such a beautiful occasion. We really cannot think without you because you are a leader and you are, I can say that you are an idol for me, not only for me, for a lot of us. So, for like the first woman IPS officer, right? So, from there to now, how is the journey?
Time has flown and flown at a very fast pace. When I was going through the service, I thought it was long enough. But now I say, I think it was too short. One life is too short to do more. So I look back and I would say, 40 years of policing, so intensive. Each day of it, of that profession, each day was long. Each day was long. But now when I look back, I say life has been short. It's just flown away. So it's all history now. Because I do see a lot of history recorded everywhere. Because when I meet across people, they recall something or the other. And I start wondering, oh God, the history has been written. So now I am already history.
You are a history, but that history is actually motivating others. The term woman empowerment is so much in the air and we use it so often, right? But what will be, in your thought, the right way or the right way to think about woman empowerment and how you can say that to a woman to be brave and courageous and act when it is really the right time to act?
Look, each life, Ragini, is unique and different. It's not compare. You cannot compare one with the other because each one of us is brought up in our own different ways. We have our own homes, parents, thinking, environment, education, experience. Each one of us is differently. We look alike as human beings, but we are all individual entities. So we call it woman, but each woman is a product of her own life. And she's a product of her own environment. She's a product of her own experience. She's a product of her own education. How much she educates herself, what she experiences, what kind of environment she grows up in, what kind of home she's in, what did her parents think of her wanting her to be, what she wanted herself to be. I think each one of us is different. We look alike, we are all women, but each one has a life of our own. I've had my own, in my own way, the way I wanted to be. I have led my life literally on my own terms. Independent, yet interdependent. Supporting, yet needing support. Working more than as I felt needed as a responsible officer. A mother who did not know how to mother a child because none of us really know how to be parents. A wife who never ran a home. I did not run a home. I was a home, but I didn't run the home. I was at home. I was a daughter-in-law, different from the traditional ones. I would wear a dress which suited me. I was a daughter who just loved her parents completely and never expected parents ever to go, thinking parents are there forever. So I think each one of us, and of course, I took my own decisions professionally as I felt were needed out based on my experience and my purpose of the service. So I would say it's incomparable yet looking alike. So I would think I am self-made in many ways. I carved my own paths, led the service in my own way, led my life in a manner which I thought was right for me, not being judgmental, but what I thought in my circumstances I needed to be with. So I think this is who I have been all these years. But as I said, when I look back, I feel time has just flown. While life is not enough to achieve so much one can achieve in one's own life. So there's always a carry forward.
Absolutely, such motivating words, Kiranji. I mean, really, with your words, I think that another question coming in my mind, that is the way you write the motivational quotes and notes in Good Morning Nutrition. I simply love that idea of giving everybody the positive vibe early in the morning and reading those texts. And I just felt so much energized, actually. I mean, that I can say that a good food for my soul. So what was the reason to start it, and and what was your main thought and idea about that?
For me, this is morning nutrition personally. But since it's positive, it's shared widely. Because when you share positivity, you also get it back. You generate it. So I generate energy for myself, and then I share it with others to spread energy around and create a positive vibration. So instead of saying good morning, I say morning nutrition, and I pick up the thought which I have slept with or I get up with and share that. It's about life, it's about work, it's about the day, it's about a feeling, it's about a character trait, it's about a happening. But that's a thought uppermost which I slept with maybe. And it is different. The feeling is different every day, I realize. And sometimes it comes out of something which I've read and I felt it's just fantastic to share. It's no point just keeping it to myself. So I then decide to pick it up from there. So it's sometimes self-generated and sometimes it's borrowed. Sometimes it's learned, read, felt, copied, transmitted, mirrored. So that's my morning thought.
And also about the kids, like the reading books, which I think these days is not there at all. So is that, I mean, the book reading that you do, is that to encourage kids to read more books or go to the libraries or see different articles that surround us?
Yes, it's called the weekly book reading with children. 6 of them on my YouTube channel called Demonstrative Learning. It started 3 years ago during COVID time. When earlier, when I used to meet people from the Raagiiniis in Pondicherry as its lieutenant governor, then suddenly everything got shut, and everything came possible only on the technology, through technology. So I started my book reading with children because now I couldn't meet children in the Raagiiniis. I couldn't bring. Earlier we were meeting children and having been or I could go, but a whole 1 year it would have been a disconnect. So we started to use technology to connect with children. So now it was children. It went beyond Pondicherry and it became global. So it is a book reading every week, using technology, connecting with children, age group 14 to 16, and then asking them and doing a conversation with them, exactly what I would do if I would do in person if I was with them. So we continued our relationship, our weekly chat conversations with the youth during COVID times. And then it took over technologically because now it became much easier to work it online. And it's continued now for the last 3 years or more. And we've almost covered nearing 140 shows so far, 140 Friday weeks. So it's crossing so many. It's gone on and every year. But since then, as time picked up, I got a little busier in Delhi. Then we decided to make it once in 2 weeks. So now, but the good news is that you got now more than 1,000 students. More than 1,000 students who we've connected over the years are staying connected through our book reading WhatsApp groups and email groups. So we stay connected through the morning nutrition. Each child gets my morning nutrition every morning, stays connected, and also shares and learns and contributes. So we are now a family of more than 1,000 children, youth, 14 to 16, spread around India and even in the UAE. Some are even from Europe.
Oh my God, that is amazing because I just love that thought of reading books because I think that those days are lost now because I really don't feel that kids are even near the book since it's all digitalized. But really, but can I get a sneak peek about your non-curricular children's?
You mean to say these children who come on to the book show? We
Yeah.
give them. We ask them to share the book they've read during latest book they've read, the gist of the book. Again, it's all about sharing books, promoting reading, creative thinking, right? And so they feel very proud, and also they also get seen all over the world by their friends because it's a live show on the YouTube channel. And so everybody, their parents watch them, their children, friends watch them. So object is book reading, but then we go beyond book reading and we also give them certain other tasks, but also do a little Q&A with them, and they ask me questions and I ask them questions. So we talk to each other. And I also get an exploration and a peep into the mindsets of these 14 to 16-year-olds, how it's changing and evolving, and what are the challenges they are facing right now, feeling, what's uppermost in this generation of people. So it's a conversation. And they ask some very interesting questions. They send the questions in advance. I sometimes prepare an answer and sometimes I don't. but we do chat with each other, and they listen to each other, and they take away ideas for themselves, and even ask their own question, which is concerning them, which is probably disturbing them or curious for them.
Being a super cop, have you ever felt fear, um, embarrassment, or I can say resentment or remorse by any chance?
Resentment for what? Remorse for what? Resentment for what? Remorse for what? When you're totally all the time in action, you look back and you keep changing, you keep improving. You don't sit and regret and remorse. You act, not react. You act.
Life?
Of course, life has its highs and lows. You laugh and you cry. You laugh and you be quiet. You talk and reflect. These are all moods of life which come and go with time, with the day, with the need. Life is not flat. Life is flat only into the into another place. When it's flat, it's not flat. Life goes up and down, up and down. It's not flat. But then you look at the up, you deal with it. You look at the down, and you again go back and deal with it. But you don't sit and regret and cry. You deal with it. After all, that's what life's maturity is about.
Kiranji, we were talking about history, and being in that history, as much as I want to ask you that you, of course, with your loving care, you try to, uh, I can say that, reform the Tihar jail, and you try to interview the people who were there, and what was your thought about it back then, and why you wanted to do that?
Well, you're looking at, when you say Tihar jail, you're looking at my assignment or my position or my responsibility when I served as Inspector General of Prisons in Delhi, and prisons were called Tihar prisons. I'm saying this because I know your people who are listening to you are people from not in Delhi who would know. They would be all from outside Delhi. So I think you are referring to my stint as Inspector General Prisons, called the Tihar prisons in Delhi. Well, it was an institution of more than 10,000 prisoners in a set of 4 major prisons, central prisons. They were central state prisons. It's like Delhi prisons, but there were 10,000 of these people, men and women. Only 400 were women. 9,600 were all men. This is the first time they had a woman Inspector General governing the prison. I got this assignment as a police officer, which we do in Delhi, in India. The Indian police service officers also supervise and oversee prisons. We do get posted. This is inheritance of the British times. So the IPS officers also lead the prisons in many states. While they have the prison cadres, they also have prison service, but the leadership sometimes goes into the hands of the Indian police service. So it brings an outsider into an organization who's not grown with the organization, but come from outside on a deputation. This is what happened with me, and I too was given an assignment. I looked at it as a healing institution, not as a punishing institution. Why? Because I thought prisoners had already been punished by being deprived of their own space, liberty, movement, choices. They had no choice which barrack they sleep in which cell, who are they living with, what kind of food they get. They all get standardized way of living. So they've already lost choices of mobility and many other things. But for me, it had already been punishing. But I decided to consider this as a healing institution, which heals them of the past wounds of revenge or culpabilities. but without being a judge. My objective of this was that when they go out of the prison, they should not have got more vindictive and revengeful or angrier, but gone repentant, remorseful, and wanting to be different now, and with the resolve that they do not come back. So I, as Inspector General, provided them with all those opportunities of learning, healing, praying, community giving, gratitude, reflection, meditation, spirituality. I gave them all that was required, what would soften their punishment so that they don't hate humanity, they don't hate life. They are willing to go and live life if they don't want to love it, but at least live life in a worthy human beings and not an animal life. So I gave them all that which was required and which made it different. Maybe this is the first time in those recent history of prison management, this approach was followed. And I called it the ashram approach. I decided to make it a Tihar ashram. And in the ashram, there's a discipline, there's uniformity, there are rules of the game, there's a time management, and there are support systems, and they support each other, they serve each other, and they observe a code of conduct, a behavior, which is the norm of any ashram. That's why it's called the ashram. So this is the first time probably ever a prison system was called an ashram. Now, one of the major indications is when I ran a meditation program of Vipassana meditation program of 1,000 prisoners is one camp, one retreat, one common retreat where all of them, 1,000 of the 10,000 sat for a common retreat under one teacher with 60 teachers who came from all over India to conduct the program. This was history made forever. History made forever in any prison in the world. We did not know it was, but it happened. So it changed, it brought in a new form of looking at prison terms, how it can be used for larger good and larger correction. So it was a restorative model of restoring justice to society. So it calls restorative justice. Much before the theme, this word was started to be called, we were practicing restoring justice in society those days.
Kiranji, as you explained that you wanted to heal them and you wanted to live their life, I know that I know that maybe you have thousands of stories about it, but in your real life, have you seen anyone like after they came out from jail and started living their life totally in a different way?
Hundreds of them, in the past and even now. Because after I left the prison, I founded a foundation called the India Vision Foundation, dedicating my Magsaysay Award to the inception of a foundation called the India Vision, which works on prison reforms. So I've since then also continued to serve inside the prison as an NGO. So I do the same work as not an inspector general, but as a founder of this foundation, which works in prison, where we educate prisoners' children, which I'd started to educate and school them while they were in prison. I'd start to run a school, a playway school inside the prison, because in Indian prisons, mothers can bring their children up to the age of 4. So many children were inside the prison and they did not have a playway school. I'd started a playway school inside the prison. I'm still running it. I'm still running it since 1993. It's 2023 now. I've been running it since 1993. Similarly, many other programs of skills development for youngsters, adolescents, men, women prisoners. So the foundation takes care of many more than 35 prisons in India now, in the northern India, and it's growing. So I've not stopped that work. It has gone on thanks to the award and the foundation which was born. I don't run it. It's now the foundation runs it. I work with it. I work for it, work with it.
Absolutely. I mean, your I mean, the first thing is the caring nature that you gave to them. That's very important. I do believe, like healing and the way to think about life. As you said, that yes, it's already, they are like given the sentences that, okay, you have to follow this or that. So, of course, that's a great thing to do. But um, you have been subject to many, many, many controversies, and including the opposition by the lawyers, and then sometimes from the government, and many a time from your peers. When you were in the police department, and you have received even opposition from the chief minister of Pondicherry, and you had to face challenges regarding the time that when even you wanted to take some days off for your personal reason. So, how you just overcome all those challenges, and how you really come up shiny and bright. And if you can say a few words about that, so that can encourage my viewers.
Let me share with you, first of all, how I'm answering your question, the one you asked, how I handled adversity or hostility. But before I do that, let me use this opportunity to thank many of your Indian resident friends in America who support my project of the India Vision Foundation and educate and sponsor children for education. And there's a group, Indian Friends group called G30. It's called the G30. And the leader of that group is a gentleman called Eric and lady called Pamela Quatra. They are very good friends of mine. They've been supporting the education of many of those children I mentioned of the India Vision Foundation. So since you did it, I do it with the help of many of you, even living in America as Indian residents, both Eric and Pam Quatra. I thought I would mention, since it cannot go without gratitude to them. As I said, it's gone on since 1993, and they are sponsoring education of many prisoners' children. Those children, they've grown up now, become interns, and also professionally settled down in their own lives. And they've been connected with the donors also. That aside, having said that, well, how do I handle hostility at work or challenges at work? I think that's what experience teaches you. That's what your training tells you. That's why your purpose keeps you going. That's why your intention is always tested. That's why your perseverance and doggedness and determination gets tested. That's where your leadership skills get tested. That's where your teamwork gets delivered. That's where your hard work shows results. That's where your integrity is tested. So I think any opposition, any challenge comes up to actually test you out. And I'm glad it did, because that's where, as I said, nothing is smooth. Always. Every road has its ups and downs. As I said, each day is different. Each day comes with its own learnings. Right? So it's therefore I would say each day has to be every day. There's so many variables under control, and some are not in your control. You only have to deal with those which are not in your control. But the ones which are in your control, that is maturity and your wisdom and experience, which enables you how to go on with life and at work and challenges and hostilities, and how to continue to lead the people and carry forward your responsibility.
In such a time where we want to look back, and you have done so many, so many, so many things. You have shown amazing valor and impossible courage, and I can see the strength inside you. You know, the strength inside you. It's really so powerful. Like you said before, that Raagiini, I never stopped. I never thought. I just did it. So those are the things I think made you who you are today. And we are talking about histories and the way you made those history, and now their stories to motivate others. Now they're like at least to me or my viewers, they're all I know, that they're getting like goosebumps when they're listening these words of wisdom from you. My next question will be for you is that your passion toward your work and your life, be it at Akali Sikh agitation, where you single handedly fought with the Sikhs, or maybe the reforming of the Tihar jail, or the dangerous encounters, or reforming the whole state of Pondicherry while being a lieutenant governor of Pondicherry. So, how was that? Like, how was it? And will you explain that what is courage and being at the epitome of it? I just want to know that what is, I can say, the word of true bravery or courage to you.
I think it's a situational response. You are focused on what is before you and what needs to be done at that moment. And many times when they're unpleasant and they demand maximum endurance and courage from you. It's all about tough decision making. Sometimes you do it by yourself, and sometimes you do it with your team members. But that's a test where you look at the fear in the eye and deal with it effectively, firmly, unquestionably, and courageously. Sometimes it's a physical movement. Sometimes it's an agitation. Sometimes it's a law and order situation at work. But it is situational. No two situations are similar too. Every situation which demands its own unique way of management, whether it needs firing, it needs a lathi charge, it needs a tear gas, it needs a question, an order, it needs a suspension of officer, or it needs defending an officer for his own the protection from anybody harassing him. It varies from case to case, and that's what life is all about. But the key is to continue to be just, fair, firm, and fearless, and keeping your own interest last, keeping the larger good first. If that remains the criterion, it's easier to deliver because your own ego doesn't come in. Larger interest and others' interest comes in. Because when you're in a job like mine, which is policing, it is not your good which matters. It is others' good which matters. It is justice to others which matters, not yourself. You are using your powers and position to secure people for good security. So you are sometimes 101, and sometimes you're up against congregations, crowds. It depends. Therefore, as I said, no 2 days, even in policing, are similar. But you want to read more. If any listener of yours wants to read more, can have access to the books I've written now. The biography is called I Dare. The prison work is written in book, It's Always Possible. And the challenges of Pondicherry as Lieutenant Governor Pondicherry is written in the book called Fearless Governance. So I've written books as I finished with my tenures, basically as a part of my love for documentation. Because I will go, the book will keep speaking for itself. For those who are interested in researching or exploring, then the book speaks while the life finishes or goes. The book carries on. That's why one writes a book or has a film. The film goes on, the book keeps traveling on while you lived your life.
So, friends, as you heard her, and yes, we would love to wish you a very, very, very happy Independence Day. I know this week we just celebrated, yesterday actually, we celebrated, and it was such a fantastic time. Thank you so much, Kiran ji, for being here. But, we would love to know more about you, and I think that we have to come back again next week. My friends, thank you so much for watching us, and I'll be back again next week with Dr. Kiran Bedi. And yes, the Super Cop will be here with us, so don't miss our next episode of Star Darbar.